Support WrestleTalk.
Hello and welcome to the WrestleTalk Podcast. I'm Luke Owen, DAD. I'm joined today by Chopper Pete Quinnell as we do a breaking news podcast.
Yes.
The TKO merger is done. It is complete.
Yep.
And on the same day that WWE announced that they have got a new deal for SmackDown to be heading to the USA Network starting next year, which, according to the Wall Street Journal, is worth a reported $1.4 billion, as well as they are still shopping around the rights to Raw and NXT, which could be moving off the USA Network. Some news came out from Sean Ross Sapp just while we were live with the AEW podcast that Sean Ross Sapp tweeted there will be releases today. So what we found out was Emma just put out a tweet being like, "I'm released."
Sorry.
Yeah, I just saw another one just come in there. So Emma put out a tweet saying, "I've just been released." Well, Mustafa Ali was the first because he was like, "I'm no longer working with WWE." Then Emma came out. Basically, we're getting those Endeavor cost-cutting releases that we all suspected were coming, have been sort of reported to be coming for a while. Here is the list as it currently stands. Emma, Mustafa Ali, Rick Boogs, Aliyah, Elias, Riddick Moss, and
now Top Dollar.
Top Dollar have been released by WWE. We'll be updating you throughout this broadcast if any more names come in. But it seems like a lot of the previous releases that we've had, during the pandemic and stuff, they'll be sort of coming in drips and drabs as people pick up their phones and find out that they've been released. So should we go through these one by one?
Yes,
I suppose
we certainly should. Yes.
Yeah.
I already did a breaking news video on the Mustafa Ali thing because at the time it looked like it was going to be an isolated incident, and as we can see now, it wasn't.
Yes.
But Ali put out a tweet that just said, "I'm no longer working with WWE. Looking forward to the future. Thank you." Originally, he said, "I'm longer working with WWE," so people thought it might be a troll tweet because that's what he does, but then he clarified, no, he actually did mean no longer working for WWE.
That's a tough one.
That is a tough one for me.
In a way that, it is sort of in a way, and it isn't, and only because he was asking for his release not that long ago.
Yeah. It was January 2022.
That was 6 months ago, Pete.
Pretty sure it was a year and a half, at least.
It was actually more than that, Pete.
Yeah.
WrestleTalk.com, by the way, for all the breaking news details on this as well. So make sure you're staying on that website and keeping it refreshed. But yeah, he was asking for his release, and they denied it. I remember doing a show with SP3 of True Heel Heat about him asking for his release, and I had said they've granted everyone out. They've been releasing a bunch of people. I can certainly see him get released. And SP3 was like, "Nah, man, he's the one they're going to keep hold of." And they did.
Yeah.
They kept hold of for a while. He went back to NXT and was kind of tearing it up there in the North American Championship scene.
Yeah.
And then he got the character.
Yeah.
The character that he was pitching prior to his requesting the release. Remember he released that video, which by the way, this is the character that I want us to do, and they wouldn't let me.
Yeah.
And he finally got to do that character. But yeah, unfortunately, he has now officially been released by WWE.
I said in the other breaking news video that I did on WrestleTalk that for me, he's one of the biggest what ifs in wrestling because he was on the verge of breaking out into the main event scene twice on the main roster. One, right after he came up because he pinned Daniel Bryan clean when Daniel Bryan was WWE champion, and then he was scheduled to be in that gauntlet match, which then he got injured, which was replaced by Kofi Kingston, which led to Kofi Mania, which presumably might have been Mustafa Ali's spot. Would he have won the title from Bryan? Don't know, but at the very least, he probably would have had a title match at WrestleMania 35. And then
he was going to have the title match at a Chamber or something.
Yeah, possibly.
And then it's going to be Owens at Mania.
That's right. Yeah. But then he also was on the verge of winning Money in the Bank, but then that got changed last second to Brock Lesnar. So then he came in and took it from him. So it's twice.
And they didn't tell him.
And they didn't tell him until right at the end, till right when they were going out for the match. So it's a really big what if for Mustafa Ali, and I think he's a great wrestler. And wherever he goes next, somewhere's going to get a very big asset. I think because Ali's great.
I think so as well. I think you're going to see some. Yeah, Ali's great. He's an awesome talent. He's such a good promo. He's got an incredible look to him.
Yep.
And yeah, I think he's going to find some success. Emma is a name that was brought back in the Triple H era. Like she had been released by the company already, and then came back as one of those Triple H rehires. But unfortunately came back and just did nothing.
Didn't do anything.
Didn't do anything. She was barely on TV.
Yeah.
If she'd lost very quickly. But she, for me, has kind of got the most heartbreaking one of these so far.
Agreed.
Because this morning, in UK time, WWE announced that next year's Elimination Chamber will be in Australia. It's going to be in Perth.
In Perth, Australia.
And Emma, Tenille Dashwood, was very excited about this news.
Being Australian.
And so she tweeted a dream with the poster for Elimination Chamber in Perth. 15 minutes later, then got to tweet, "Oops, never mind, I just got released."
Yeah. That's rough.
That is a rough one.
That's rough.
That is a really, really rough one. It was like within the hour of her tweeting that out, she then got the phone call to say that she has been released.
Yeah.
That is rough going for poor Tenille Dashwood, but she is also someone who is going to very much land on her feet.
Oh, absolutely. Like she's done it before.
She's done it before. She's done it multiple times. She can go back to Impact and have a great run there. Impact is still probably by far in North America got the best women's division and does the best with their women's division on certainly in North America.
Yeah.
So she will certainly find some work for herself. But yeah, almost a waste of time in bringing her back.
Yeah. And I'd say as well, this is just going to be a running thing through the whole stream. I just saw a tweet from Sean Rossap about it as well. I think this should be a good place for people in the live chat right now. And if you're watching this on demand, if you're watching it on catch up after the fact, in the comments, I think you should say something nice about these people, about these performers, and about your good memories of them in WWE and what you want them to do next. Because I think it's important for these people to remember that it can be a very bad day for them, and to see people talking nicely about them is probably something that they could need today. So
I think you're absolutely right on that one, actually, because I felt like just all about Ali, I sort of just focused on the like. I mean, I should say he tore it up in NXT, I suppose, but
yeah,
he is a good dude.
He's a great wrestler,
and Emma's awesome.
That stuff on the 205 Live run with Ali was amazing. I love that.
Yeah, and I mean, like Tenille Dashwood is when she came back, I really thought like she's going to get an awesome run with this belt.
Because Tenille Dashwood in Impact was awesome.
Because Tenille Dashwood's great. Yeah. And I really thought she was going to get this really good run. And I think she's going to have a really good run elsewhere.
Yeah, I would assume so.
Rick Boogs is one of the next ones here. Had his alliance with Shinsuke Nakamura for a little bit. They had their WrestleMania tag match as well when he unfortunately got injured in that.
And okay, here's the thing with Rick Boogs. I was never super into his character on the main roster because I think it was very kind of like repetitive. I love Rick Boogs the person. I think he's hilarious and he has such good comedic chops. Also, he's insanely strong. Some of those spots he was doing when he was like pressing people and doing like reps in a gorilla, insane. Love that man. Also, he provided two of the highlights of the Performance Center era of WWE programming in 2020. Where AJ Styles, I think, was cutting a promo, maybe having a match, and just because they had some of the wrestlers in the crowd of the Performance Center bit, you just hear off mic one very loud person who was Rick Boogs that just went, "You suck, AJ!" and you just hear it so clearly. It's beautiful. He did a couple of those moments in the Performance Center stuff. It was very funny.
Me and Laurie, when we were doing the NXT review back in the day, were so high on Eric Bugenhagen because we were just like, he came out and it was like, oh, man, this guy's got it.
This guy's great.
Look how he's so entertaining.
Yeah.
He's so funny. I didn't love his main roster run because it was just like, give him the guitar and it's just like, oh, you can shred the Shinsuke Nakamura entrance thing. You know, once they kind of split that team up, it's like, eesh, man, I don't know where you're going to be going after this. And unfortunately, where he went was kind of nowhere. So it went nowhere after the brand split as well. But man, like what? So charismatic. So incredibly charismatic. One other bit of note. Can we not have fake names posted, please?
Yes.
If you're in our live chat, we've just changed it to subscribers only, and that is because we have had people posting in fake names have been released. Don't do that. It is not big. It's not clever. No one thinks you're cool, so don't do that, please.
Agreed.
I'd really appreciate it if you didn't, because it's not cool.
Don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick. That's all we ask.
There you go.
It's all we ask on this channel.
Rule number one.
Don't be a dick.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. That is why we've turned on subscribers only mode, because we are getting a lot more people coming into this channel. And it's fine. Like, if you want to subscribe to the channel, be my guest. I would absolutely love it, but please just don't be a dick in the chat.
Yep.
If you want to get in, join the conversation as well, WrestleTalk.com/support. We'll read out all of your donations in there. Please do keep checking out WrestleTalk.com. Chozo55 here says, I'm just going to preface this. I know WWE and UFC is a multi-billion-dollar company, but do you think these releases are a way to put money towards Cargill or potential signings, just moving money around essentially? No. This is the merger.
Yeah, this cost-cutting.
This happens with all mergers. We saw this last weekend, or over the weekend, really, with the staff. People who are working internally, because two companies are coming together, all of a sudden you've got two people doing the same job from different companies in the same department, more or less. So they're like, well, we only need one of you.
Yeah.
So that happens with mergers. And this has been on the docket for a while now, way before the Jade Cargill news, that releases are going to happen with the merger.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is not we're trying to get some money together. Yeah. They just got a $1.4 billion deal with USA. Like they're not strapped for cash. This is just merger stuff.
Yeah. Agreed.
Aliyah is also a name that has been released. She has been kind of like very vocal recently, talking about how, she's not being used on TV. And she's like, I'm going to go to SmackDown and I'm going to have some signs that talk about getting me back on TV, because she's been fit and healthy for a while since coming back from her injury.
Yeah.
But yeah, she just has not been on TV.
Yeah.
Like, I remember, do you remember when she won the women's tag titles? Like,
I sure do.
Like, they set that tournament up for Damage Control to win it. And then Aliyah and Raquel?
Aliyah and Raquel, yeah.
Aliyah and Raquel just won it. And we're like,
yeah.
All right.
Yep.
And then Damage Control just beat them for the belts.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
And then Aliyah won the record for the quickest match ever.
That's right.
3.17 seconds.
She was Aliyah 317.
Aliyah 317. She still is on Twitter, apparently.
Is she really?
Yeah. So yeah, that's her contribution to WWE. I do actually have a fond memory of Aliyah. This was a documentary that I watched ages ago. It was a NXT Breaking Ground, I want to say, where they went behind the scenes of NXT. And they were looking. It was quite like a candid look at a lot of the NXT, because it wasn't I guess it was a WWE documentary. But you know how they kind of like paper over some of the harsher bits of the business or whatever. There were some bits where people were talking about like the matches getting cut and like, time being pulled from stuff and people being really sad that they weren't doing as well and stuff like that. Really like pretty candid looks at it. And Aliyah was one of the people where she was scheduled for a match on whatever show it was, and a match got pulled, and it was her reaction being like, I don't know how long I'm going to do this for. Like, this really sucks. And then it was I've forgotten her name, the female NXT trainer,
Sarah Del
Rey, yeah, who was saying like went to like a couple months later, and she was like, she is one of the most improved people in this entire people that we've got here. She's really like proving her worth being here and stuff like that. And it ended on a very positive note, which is good for her. I'm very happy for her. So yeah,
she's been there for ages.
Been there for a long time.
How long has Aliyah been with WWE?
It's been a while.
She was in NXT for
ages. For a long time.
There was like people that was leapfrogging her all the time, getting called up to the main roster. Aliyah, wrestler, Canadian professional wrestler, born in 1994. That can't be true.
She's 1 year younger than me.
People weren't born in the 90s. She's been with WWE since 2015. And she was in NXT from 2015 to 2021.
Oh my, hold on. Sorry, I'm just... Continue talking. I'm finding something.
Do apologize. Yeah, please do keep getting your Ultra Chats in, by the way, WrestleTalk.com/support. If any of our staff members are watching this in the office, first of all, thank you very much. We'll also be, can someone bring me a cup of tea?
That'd be great if I could have one as well.
I'd really appreciate it. Just bring me a cup of tea, please.
Yeah.
That'd be lovely. I hope someone's watching this now.
So a name we haven't spoken about yet, we'll talk about now, is Riddick Moss, aka Madcap Moss. Sean Ross Sapp tweeted to say Riddick Moss has been released by WWE. Fightful's confirmed. Riddick Moss then responded to Sean's tweet being like, "Wait, for real? I didn't answer the phone." I think he's joking.
Yeah. You've got to hope that he's joking, I guess.
Yeah, he said, but I didn't answer the phone.
That sounds that sounds like that might be a joke.
I think that's a joke. Hey, that's Madcap's thing. That's the punchline.
He did do that, didn't he? Remember Happy Talk?
Oh, yeah.
Remember the great times that you and Tempest had with Happy Talk?
Hey, look now. Okay. Madcap Moss was a terrible character. I did not like it. I think that Riddick Moss is a pretty good wrestler. And I think I was always very impressed by his explosiveness when he got in the ring, because he's a quick dude. And he's got a good look. Like, he just needs something. There was a little something that was missing in his presentation as Madcap Moss. But I think he's got a future, wherever he goes next.
I think he could get a great run in Impact.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And actually, Impact. I'm going to put over Impact hard here. There have been a bunch of guys and girls that got released from WWE during the pandemic.
Yeah, last couple of years, yeah.
That didn't get signed by AEW, but went to Impact instead and really have shown out for it. Steve Macklin, in particular, is someone I will highlight as a guy that got released by WWE, not picked up by the other major promotion in All Elite Wrestling, but got a great run in Impact, won their world title, and literally showed people, it's like, yeah, this is what you've all missed out on.
Yeah.
This is what WWE missed out on. This is what AEW missed out on. I am really good at this.
Yeah.
And he was awesome. And he still is, actually.
Still great.
So when I say like a good run in Impact, some people might be like, oh, well, are they not good enough to be in AEW? No, Impact's a great place to go.
Yep.
And you can get a really good run out of going to Impact Wrestling. So
Absolutely.
I think that would actually be a really good place for him, and Rick Boogs as well, for that matter.
Yeah,
like
100%.
100%. So up next, we'll talk about Elias.
Wow.
So this is an interesting one.
This is a very interesting one.
Last week, it was revealed or reported that Elias was working without a contract. Like, his contract had come up, and it hadn't been renewed, but he hadn't been released by WWE.
Yeah.
He was just working without a contract.
Yep. Which is weird.
It is weird.
Very unlike WWE to have that happen.
Yeah, the only person I can really think of is The Rock. Because when The Rock first left WWE way back when, it's because, oops, they forgot to renew his contract.
Which is wild.
So he was just like, I'll go then.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, damn.
Ooh.
Actually, we kind of want to keep you, actually.
Yeah.
But that kind of felt what happened there. They just didn't renew it. They just didn't renew his contract. And he was working without a contract for a bit, and now he's gone. Is there a tweet from Elias there?
And there is a brand new tweet from Elias 12 seconds ago. It says, from drifting onto the scene to WrestleMania with John Cena and he's doing all the highlights. He's doing our job for us. From drifting onto the scene to WrestleMania with John Cena and The Undertaker to millions around the world for years walking with Elias, a #1 iTunes album, and to being my own younger brother. He's broken kayfabe!
Killing the gimmick.
While traveling the world, it's been a blast. God is good. That's a tweet from Elias. Yeah, I mean, that was a lot of the stuff that he just mentioned I was going to talk about. The Ezekiel thing was really funny initially.
The Kevin Owens stuff with it was
The Kevin Owens stuff was great. I liked the initial part of it. It didn't really lead to anything.
That's the problem. We never really got the payoff for
it. But the setup was great. And the one segment that always gets put up on Twitter every so often is that one segment with Elias and Kevin Owens where the crowd just do not let them do the segment because they just boo too much. It was very good.
I got an email recently that was having a go at me for I was a bit like, man, every time people tell me that The Miz is good, they only ever bring up his 2016 run. I just want to remind everyone that was 7 years ago.
Sure was.
And so, and I've sort of made that point. It's a joke that I make. And someone emailed me being like, well, you keep bringing up the Elias thing. That happened in 2018. And I was like, do I?
Do I?
do I bring that up at every opportunity to be like, why isn't Elias getting more TV time? Do you remember that one reaction he got in 2018? But apparently I bring it up a lot.
Yeah.
But the weird thing about that reaction is I've done a lot of podcasts reviewing Raw, reviewing SmackDown.
Yeah.
I remember that podcast very clearly, and I remember exactly where we were. It was during the in-between phase of moving out of Dagenham and moving into these new places. We were in the Red Room. In the Red Room of Death. And I remember very vividly sitting in that room and talking to Ollie Davis about that reaction. And just talking about like sort of how wild it was and a bit of fun that it was as well.
Yeah. I think he has a lot of upside from a character perspective. I think he's very, very good. So yeah, Best of luck.
Best of luck to you, Elias. So if you are just joining us, welcome to the WrestleTalk Podcast. If you subscribe, if you this is your first time here, we have got a live chat going. You can join in if you are one of our subscribers. We've had to put subscriber mode only on because we had a lot of trolls coming in to try and post in fake names. So we don't
do that.
Don't do that. We're not spreading any misinformation. Don't be a dick.
Yeah.
But if you are just joining us, the updated list of names that have been released by WWE: Emma, Mustafa Ali, Rick Boogs, Aliyah, Elias, Riddick Moss, and Top Dollar. As it currently stands. We'll be getting into a few of those in a second. Kid Cudi here has got an ultra chat which just goes, "It is always hard to see people lose their jobs, but overreaction much? Nearly all of the releases have been people not featured on TV for a while. Now Luke can focus on the guys and girls on TV instead of complaining about who isn't on TV." Thank you very much for your chat. Best of luck to you. Top Dollar, another name that was brought back during the Hunter administration era of WWE. Yeah, all of Hit Row, in fact. Yeah, with Ashanti and B-Fab as well.
I say all minus Swerve.
Minus Swerve. AEW. Yeah. When they came back, I was dead excited.
Same, me too.
In the same way that I was dead excited when they got brought up to the main roster, because it was just like I thought Hit Row was such a good act,
awesome.
And I was like. Swerve Strickland is the guy. Like, you can do some amazing stuff with him, and like, what a great group. I remember doing the NXT podcast when they first debuted and being like, this is an awesome group. And they came into the main roster, had about like 2-3 weeks, and then they all got released.
Yep.
Obviously, Swerve went to AEW, but Top Dollar had quite a bit of heat with the Young Bucks, so they didn't come in as the full group. I think B-Fab set up like an OnlyFans. I don't know what Ashanti did, but like
vibed,
yeah. But Top Dollar went back. You know, he was doing his music and things like that, and like they were doing some stuff on the indie scene as Hit Row, and it was really cool.
Yeah,
and they got brought back, and I was like, yes, now's the time. Sure, you haven't got Swerve.
Yep.
Like, and that's a bummer because he's awesome.
He's great. Yeah.
But you guys can kill it, and you can really go out there and show up.
Yeah.
But it kind of didn't pan out as I'd hoped.
No.
I think, you know, Top Dollar, once he had the botch over the top
that
rope,
was it, right?
that Michael Cole kept bringing up and kept referencing, I was like, I feel like
that's it.
That's it. Yeah, which is really, really unfortunate.
Yeah, that does suck.
It is interesting. I mean, perhaps I don't want to speculate that there's more to come, but if it's just Top Dollar and it's not Ashanti the Adonis or B-Fab, I'd be like, that would literally...
That would feel very pointless.
That would make me go, huh.
Yeah. Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Would. Yeah.
Like, I haven't got like a huge reaction to it, but it certainly would make me go, huh.
Curious. Sorry, I've just seen another tweet from Riddick Moss, who has quote tweeted one of his own tweets that he did on the 12th of September, so a little bit ago. And said, "I'm going to be TKO world champion someday." And then he quote tweeted it and just said, "Well, this age, Paulie."
Man.
And then tagged in old takes exposed as well. So he seems to be taking it well, which is good.
Someone has actually just said there, like, in all caps, Riddick tweet.
Yeah.
Very, very good.
Yeah, very funny.
Please do keep your eyes on WrestleTalk.com for any more latest news coming in about this. And I'm also going to assume that no one in the office is watching the stream because no one's bringing me a cup of tea.
Yeah, going to assume not, because there's a distinct lack of tea that's being brought to us right now.
Who could I message in the office? Ben?
Oh, Ben will do it.
Ben doesn't make tea.
Oh, Ben doesn't make tea. You're so right. Tempest. Teapist.
Very good. Tea, please.
That didn't work. If you're just joining us here, for the stream, welcome to the WrestleTalk Podcast. There have been more WWE releases. We've been through this a few times in the last few years. So there's the current list of names as it stands is Emma, Mustafa Ali, Rick Boogs, Aliyah, Elias, Riddick Moss, and Top Dollar. That is the current list of names. We don't know if there's going to be any more or not, but we're just kind of waiting and seeing, which is why we're here with you now live, so we can be here together to talk about it, because we want to talk about the positive parts of these people losing their jobs today.
Yeah, and we don't want to sort of go into the speculation territory.
Absolutely not.
You know, like, oh, could it be this name? Could it be this name? I know a few people in the live chat are talking about Dolph, if only because
Oh, because of the rumors of him Ryan Nemeth going to AEW and people saying that Dolph's contract's up soon.
Yeah. And there are 2024 is a big year for contracts.
Goodness me, isn't it just?
Coming up. Drew's one of them.
Becky,
Sheamus. Becky, yeah.
MJF.
Well, that's the end of this year. We don't even have to wait until 2024. Yeah. I don't foresee any of those names. But, yeah. Can't really be going into speculation stuff on there. Zeref has sent in an ultra chat. It's been a member for 25 months in a row to say, Tempest. Now I want to see Tempest in a butler outfit. Who do you think is the most likely to show up in AEW down the line?
I think, out of the names of people that have been confirmed to be released currently, Mustafa Ali, is up there for me. Though I could totally see him having an awesome run in the juniors at New Japan. I think that would be rad.
Oh, doing the best of the Super Juniors,
right?
That would be also, so good.
I saw someone just say, "Man, Mustafa Ali versus Speedball is gonna kill, isn't it?" Right?
Yeah, it will do actually. Yeah.
I was like, "Oh yeah, no, it wouldn't it?" Yeah.
Or if anyone's got Mustafa Ali's number, just message him, Speedball Mike Bailey.
Yeah, just say Speedball.
Just plant the idea.
Yeah,
just plant that little seed to be like, "Oh, that is a good idea."
Yeah. I think there's also a chance. I reckon that Rick Boogs could go over to AEW. I think there's a chance that he could make a character for himself, and I think he could do something fun over there.
I could see them making a play for Tennille Dashwood.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like they are always kind of looking. I think my issue I've always had with AEW's women's division is that it often feels like they're always just looking for names to bolster the division, but then they don't really know what to do with them after they're there.
Yeah.
But Tennille Dashwood could be someone you could bring in and have go into the ROH women's division.
Yeah.
And have a run with Athena for the belt.
Yeah.
But you could have her on the main on AEW. So I should say the main roster on AEW as well.
Yeah.
I think more likely it's Impact, but I could certainly see them making a play for them. Aliyah, I could certainly see getting a run in Impact as well.
This is a good one.
Power Packers 90. What is it with you Brits in your tea?
It's just nice. Leave me alone.
There's actually more to that chat, but it's just being typed in at the moment. S. Morgan here says, Ali would make an excellent international champion. And AEW need a big name since need a big Chicago guy since Punk is no longer there, and they do Chicago shows all the time.
Yeah, it'd be a reliable hand right there to be Chicago man.
Oh man, do you remember those promos? When I think it was after the injury that kept him out of the chamber match when he was supposed to be in the big gauntlet thing.
Yep.
And he was doing these promos like from the streets of Chicago, talking about the fact that he was a copper before this. And they were like these real and gritty promos. I remember being like, oh, this is really, really cool. And then just being frustrated that it never went anywhere.
Yeah.
But they were really, really good promos.
They were great, yeah. Also, to clarify, we mentioned earlier about Riddick Moss potentially finding out about his release on Twitter. That is not a thing that happened. Sean Rossap has clarified we would never post anything until the talent knows.
Yeah.
Riddick Moss was just joking
around.
Having
a joke around.
And he seems like a very funny man.
You can see why he was given that gimmick.
Maybe that's why he was called Mad Cat Moss, yeah.
Power Packers 90, just to finish up that tweet, that message rather, just said, what is it with you Brits and your tea? In all seriousness, feel bad for everyone. Oops, sorry. And Liam Leonard here has been a member for 25 months in a row. Liam Leonard, by the way, this will make sense because Liam Leonard is an independent wrestler.
Yes.
Where he said, the dream match can now happen. Double L versus Top Dollar. Let's get that trending.
Hell yeah.
Liam Leonard, that's what I like to see, Liam.
Liam Leonard and Top Dollar.
Well, like just Liam just shooting his shot.
Yeah. Always on that grind.
Yeah. He's using this platform. Oh. Sorry. Just sort of Ali versus Vikingo.
Oh, it does sound good, doesn't it?
Ali versus Darby.
Yeah.
Do you know what, actually? Ali going to Defy.
Oh, that's a great shout.
He would be wicked in Defy.
Ali versus Nick Wayne.
Yeah.
That sounds fun.
That does sound fun, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Having a great run in Defy would be wicked.
I've got a match for you.
Go for it.
Rick Boogs versus Brian Cage.
Meat! Who can do the different lifting spots?
Yeah, right? That would be baller. I want to see that.
And I'm just going to quickly, just fill for time, I'm just going to quickly check on a name here.
Absolutely, yeah. Oh, yeah, I've seen one as well. We do have confirmation of another name.
Okay, please do.
Shelton Benjamin.
That's the name I was just checking.
Yep.
Yeah.
Has also been released.
Oh, man, Shelton Benjamin.
Yeah, that's rough. I mean, they weren't using him, but goddamn, Hurt Business was so good.
Tempest is bringing tea.
That
sucks, man.
Shelton Benjamin's rough. Like he was always so good. Regardless of what time period that he was in, Shelton Benjamin was always great, very reliable. I think at one point in his career he was absolutely, main event material. Even now, being, one of the members of the Hurt Business, everyone was so good in their roles in that faction. I loved it so much. And then since then, he just hasn't really been used, which I thought was a big waste of time for Shelby B. Hello.
Thank you.
If you haven't heard, Shelton Benjamin, also gone.
No!
I know. Yeah, that's what we were saying, which is unfortunate. I'll get it from you because you don't have your mask on. Also, is that 1 cup of tea?
You didn't ask for a tea.
Luke! I didn't ask Tempest to get me a tea.
I just said tea, please.
No.
I thought it was implied. Awful lot of milk in that one, Tempest.
Tea.
Yeah, will do.
Has it got any sugar in it?
Well, why? Do you want a lollipop?
So
Thanks, Tempest.
We're not making light of the very serious news here. We got to try and make our own fun somehow.
We have to try and make our own fun, and tea is the way we do it.
Thank you, Tempest.
No way. Okay, no, cool. That's good. It's a fake account. Yep.
Yeah, I just saw that one. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Oh man, someone's started a fake SRS account. Man,
Yep.
alive.
Yep. Which really threw me for a second. Thank God that name was not real. But yes, Shelton Benjamin.
Shelton Benjamin,
released.
yeah, you kind of were saying earlier about he was one of those guys in the mid 2000s that was always felt like he was on that cusp of he's just one push away from getting that big run.
Mm-hmm.
But he sort of like ended up just sort of feeling like he was in main event purgatory forever. He was a guy that was just in Money in the Bank ladder matches to do the Shelton Benjamin spot as opposed to ever be in contention of winning Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
It's like, we'll put the IC belt on Shelton, and then a month and a half later, Shelton loses it to some other guy, and then like 4 months later, it's like, put it back on Shelton again. But he always had those moments, and he always felt like a guy that the crowd were really behind, and there were certain members of the office that were behind, but he just couldn't get that big push. And it really felt like his last big push that he got was the Hurt Business during the pandemic.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it felt like that was like him and Cedric won the tag titles, and obviously they've been teaming together. I was about to say they've been teaming on TV. They haven't been on TV for a little while. They were actually going to be on TV last week, and their match got cut.
It was last week or the week prior.
Actually, I'll say, it was last week or the week prior. Yeah, that they were going to have a match with the Viking Raiders, and that match got cut. But yeah, they were just guys that were just on main events. Shelton Benjamin and Cedric, that is. And I remember when people were saying like, oh, he could have another run with Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
Like, just go on a tag run, just do the Minnesota Stretching Crew from OVW.
So
and
cool.
just for like one show or something.
Yeah.
And just, because they had a spot in the Rumble, right?
Yeah.
Which is
it was in the 2020 Rumble,
That's
I think.
right,
Yeah,
yeah.
when Brock was on his tear. Then he came in and was like,
Shelton
Shelton.
Benjamin comes in, they're like,
off you go.
So I remember doing the low match and being like, the Minnesota Stretching Crew! That's a real shame.
Yeah.
Shelton, to answer the person's question we had earlier of just like, who do you think could have a run in AEW? Shelton Benjamin. Shelton Benjamin,
really cool.
Even if it's just like when Morrison came in for his like one-shot deal, that I could certainly see just like...
Well, he's part of QTV now.
Well, yes, prior to
Johnny TV. John Television.
Just like, just coming in and just being like, here's your one-shot surprise appearance, maybe like an open challenge for the international championship or something. Then that'd be a really fun one.
Yeah, I agree. And I was going to mention something else about Shelton Benjamin, but now my train of thought's gone, so never mind.
Sorry, didn't mean to.
It's all right.
Thank you all so much for joining us. If this is your first time here, I've just seen another name. can you check SRS's Twitter for me, please? Yep.
Yeah,
okay. Dolph Ziggler is the latest name to have been released. And that was the one I was unfortunately just sort of theorizing in my head.
Yeah. I mean, with all the talk of him potentially going as contract coming up and the potential rumors of him joining AEW and, Ryan Nemeth tweeting about him with the tag belts, that is, let me just double check my facts here, the only former world champion so far to go.
You happy now, Kid Cudi?
Yeah. Dolph Ziggler. What a ride that man has had in WWE. Going from the Spirit Squad, Nikki, etc. Then being repackaged into Dolph Ziggler, having kind of mid-card success around the US title, intercontinental title scene, never-ending matches and feuds with Kofi Kingston, etc.
Became a meme, really, at one point.
Yeah, it was just a meme at one point. Then going on, winning that Money in the Bank, and becoming like the most over guy in WWE at the time.
The show-off.
The show-off. The partnership with AJ Lee, beating John Cena in a ladder match for that briefcase, cashing in the briefcase to become World Heavyweight Champion, the babyface turn.
Sort of my favorite cash-ins.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's like that and Rollins, I think, are still
that and Rollins are the best
the top two cash-ins.
Absolutely, because you can't beat that reaction. Oh my god, you actually made me tea! I wasn't expecting it!
Well, I made Luca tea, actually. There's less milk in it.
Thank you. So, and there's no sugar in that one?
No.
Oh,
Cool.
I won't swap that. Dolph Ziggler. Dolph Ziggler's gone.
No way!
Yeah, Dolph.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Do you want me to sort of mic out for you?
I mean, how many more are there going to be by the next time I have to make a tea?
It's every time you make a tea. Yeah. I mean, there was all the stuff with him going to AEW recently, like Ryan Nemeth tweeting about it and stuff. So, yeah. Crazy. Right?
That's the most shocking thing I've ever heard.
You've ever heard?
I'm more shocked by Dolph Ziggler going this time than anyone else that's gone the other time.
Felt like a lifer.
Strowman, none of that.
Yeah.
What the hell?
So there you go.
Tempest is surprised.
Tempest has opinions.
Tempest was shocked by that.
Yeah.
That apparently is
we weren't.
the most shocked.
The most shocking thing he's ever heard.
Ever heard.
That is... Well, I'm not going to call that hyperbole, but it is. But yes, Dolph Ziggler.
It was like, I said, do you want to get me a mic? Someone was like, nah, just let him shout.
Yeah, I at one point in time, Dolph Ziggler was my favorite wrestler in the world. And I thought there was nobody that could touch him, but anything he did.
Yeah.
That time was like 2013, 2014. It was probably a good 10 years ago at this point. And he just hasn't really done anything since. He felt kind of like a kind of stale on the main roster. There wasn't much he was doing. Went back to NXT for a little run. Did that run with Bron Breakker, which was actually quite good and refreshing and nice. I'd be very curious to see what he does next.
I think he's got an AEW run in him.
I think he's got an AEW run in him.
Like, I mean, I know Ryan Nemeth was just last week, and that's the only reason I brought up Dolph earlier in this broadcast, because Ryan Nemeth has already been tweeting the idea of Dolph going to AEW, and that sort of start. People then start like Sean, I know, was then looking into it, like, what is Dolph status with WWE? If Ryan Nemeth is just going to be like, oh yeah, me and my brother are going to win the AEW tag titles, and I was like, oh, what? Why?
Why? Yeah,
hold up. What does this mean, Ryan? But I think now, I think that 100%.
Also, Dolph was on Being the Elite, so
yeah, Dolph
like on Monday.
Dolph is a guy, and me and Tempest have talked about this, and I know you and I have talked about this in the past as well. A guy that I kind of wish had left WWE when Cody left.
Yeah.
If what Dolph's career path would have looked like.
That's a big what if, that.
Because I think post that time, he was just a guy on the roster, and he was just a solid hand to have around, and just like, we need a mid-card filler feud, or you just need an easy world title feud win. Dolph, you're the man to give that to. But have he gone onto the independent scene when Cody did, or even like when Matt Cardona did a couple of years back, like he could have really been an insanely special talent. But he can still do that, because he's got his comedy career that he was doing as well. And he is a guy, it's not like, the last time we watched a Dolph Ziggler match, we were like, oof, he's looking old now, his body's breaking down. It's not. That guy can still go. I really thought he was going to do this big like retirement tour storyline in this year, because they were sort of pushing this idea on Raw of just like he is coming to the end of his in-ring run as a storyline thing. He has still got a lot of gas in that engine. He can still go, man.
I've remembered something I was going to say about Shelton Benjamin.
Go for it.
Which also applies to Dolph Ziggler. I think both of them, I think that WWE, in my head, what I thought they would have done is earmark them to be producers.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think both of them are great minds for the business, for sure. Obviously, Ziggler and Benjamin can still go, but, you know, WWE have been hiring other kind of producing talent in like Robert Roode, Nick Aldis, people like that, who are now transitioning into producing roles. I'd have thought that they'd have been like, you guys are perfect for it. So I would have expected potentially those guys to transition to that producing role. But
Dolph in particular.
I would have thought would have been a very good producer to have on hand.
And I think that's kind of like why Tempest was having his big reaction. I think we'd all just have thought, he's a lifer now.
He is a WWE lifer.
He's a WWE lifer. He has survived multiple rounds of releases.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way that man is getting released. But, yeah. Dolph Ziggler, man. We got a few ultra chats in from you all. Holy moly, Jimmy here says, first timer here. Where's the tea? I just put Boogs into a story on 2K with Robert Roode as his partner and Ric Flair as the manager, and they were an arrogant heel team with the swag style of Rick Rude and Ric Flair, wishing the best for everyone.
A lot of different Ricks in that.
There is. Matt Hennessy here says, I don't blame Hunter, Nick Khan, or WWE for the releases. I only blame one person, Vince McMahon. Had he stayed retired, none of these folks would lose their jobs. Yeah, I'm not sure we can jump to that conclusion.
I don't think we can, because there's been a merger. We haven't seen a Triple H led / Nick Khan led merger that didn't feature Vince McMahon. We don't know what that timeline looks like, so we can't comment on whether these releases would have happened or not, because this does not feel like spring cleaning. This feels like this is a merger. This is cost cutting because of the merger that's happened. Whereas the last two very much felt like spring cleaning.
You can certainly make the argument that without Vince, if Vince stayed retired, the sale wouldn't have happened. But WWE has been a company that has been eyeing up a sale for years. Ages. Like during the pandemic, there was talks of AEW eyeing themselves up for a sale. I remember when Braun Strowman got released, and I think it was Jimmy Van was talking about on Fightful being like, this honestly feels like this is a proper cost-cutting measure to make the company look like a valuable thing to buy, because it won't have to pay as much for some of these big-time contracts.
Yeah.
So I appreciate the point you're trying to make, Matt, but I don't know if we can immediately jump to that conclusion that this is only happening because Vince came back. The merger has happened because Vince came back, but that might have also happened.
Yes, exactly.
Because if the company had been sold to Disney, like if they'd have just sold outright and not merged with Endeavor, there'd have been cost-cutting measures there as well, most likely. But anyway, Matt continues to say, I'm not going to pretend I'm a big fan of all of them, but to lose your job and livelihood sucks.
Sure does. There's a tweet I just want to read out from Sean Ross Sapp.
Go for it.
That says, one top star told Fightful Select that most of the list of releases barely had a chance considering they weren't booked, and called it a circle that couldn't be escaped. Yeah. Which kind of sums up pretty much all these guys' positions on the card.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. Like, I know we had that. I was chatting earlier that said, like, all I do is complain about people who aren't booked. But there are, like, people that were just, they never got their chance.
Yeah.
And it's not just me that has that opinion. There are people within the company, as Sean just said then, that are like, they just weren't given the chance.
Don't have a chance. They're never booked. How are they supposed to succeed when they're not booked?
It's the AEW women's division.
Yeah.
Like, they don't draw. Well, that's because, you don't give them enough TV time to get over and become draws.
Exactly. And when you give people screen time, for example, like, I don't know, a Toni Storm, and then she has a character that gets over, that's what happens when you book them more.
Yeah.
It's not rocket science.
Mike the Jeweler here says, F WWE, F TKO. They have amazing talents and are cutting them for the money. They are getting up the I hope all the incredible talent get a second chance somewhere better and brighter. Like I said, F the E. Hi, Luke, Dad. Happy birthday, Pete.
One is not my birthday, too. That was a very generous ultra chat. Thank you so much.
Oh, yeah. I should have just seen but that was. Thank you very much, Mike.
And yeah, it's not great.
No.
The optics aren't fantastic when they're like, look at all these records we've broken. Look at this Australia show we're going to do. Look at this new deal for $1.4 billion that we've signed for a new network. Also, we're going to release a bunch of people. It's not great optics.
I can't imagine they didn't get a small amount of money for the Elimination Chamber show in Perth either. I'd imagine.
We'll see.
Probably got quite a bit of change for that one.
Potentially. Yes.
John Wright here's, haven't ultra chatted in a while, but here's a little money for all the hard work you guys are doing. Is Shelton Benjamin the most underrated wrestler in history? Also, Pete, hell of a day to come back to WrestleTalk. Happy birthday, by the way.
You know,
there'll be a small contingent of people in the live chat that will appreciate that joke.
Yeah, it's good.
Throw your hands up if you're one of those people.
Also, yeah, I'd worked quite a few long days this week, so I was hoping today, I was like, maybe when it gets to about 2 p.m., I think I'll probably take some time back. I'll probably just head home a little bit early today. Here I am.
Wife said to me this morning, just like, you'll be back for bath time, right? Yeah. I was like, yeah, I just could do the AEW stream. That'll be finished by like 4:30, and then I'll jump on the train home.
Yeah. My partner's been away this week. She's headed back home for about 6:30 p.m. Hoping to be there to cook us some dinner. Don't think that's happening. Sorry. I'm not complaining about this job. I'm just saying it's very funny that it had to happen today, didn't it?
It's the greatest job that I've ever had. But days like this these are hard days. These are the tough days.
These are the taxing days. These ones.
But yeah, this is not fun. The point I was going to make, sorry, a moment ago when you were talking about like the optics of the releases and stuff just after you've made this money, and I agree with you. Like the optics aren't great because you are just announcing these sorts of big deals and whatnot, and announcing all of this money coming in. This isn't like, I don't feel the same way I did like during the pandemic though.
No,
because that was when people were getting released, and it's like
and you can't go anywhere else.
They've got nowhere to work now. It's with the world now back open again, man, there's so many opportunities out there.
So many good opportunities as well.
These people are going to get some great bookings. They're going to, honestly, their next like 48 hours, they're going to be getting a lot of text messages from people passing on their commiserations, but they're also going to be getting a bunch of text messages being like, I want to book you for this. Let me introduce you to this person. Here's a really cool thing that we can do together. Here's an awesome opportunity for you. There is going to be a lot on the table, for some, particularly for some of these names, and I mean for all of the names. Some of them maybe more so than others, but for some, like for all of these names, there will be places that they can go and get work and apply their trade and make money out of being a professional wrestler. And it's a great time to be like a wrestling fan because there's so much good wrestling out there. And that also then feeds back into the wrestlers themselves, and they will have a lot of opportunities. Peter Mullins here says, there's a few I'd love to see one-off matches in AEW, but Ali must go on a tear in AEW and become what he always should have been. T that T, y'all. Peter Mullins also, by the way, has been a 22-month member.
That's a long time.
That is a long time. You need 2 years. Very, very close there, bud.
Just as an update, there's a tweet from Brian Alvarez that just says, within WWE, it's believed NXT cuts are coming at 5 p.m. EST.
All right, what's 5 p.m. EST?
10 o'clock.
Oh, okay, so that's tonight.
I'm not going to be around for that.
No, I don't think.
Sorry, gang.
I don't think we'll be doing another stream if there's some NXT releases. But yeah, apparently, so a bit more news there, folks. There should be some NXT releases coming later on.
That's according to Brian Alvarez on Twitter.
Yeah, who is hit and miss
with his record of news.
But sometimes, particularly when it comes to releases and stuff.
Yeah.
Mayor of Painesville Dan says, hi, you nice people. Here is something for your extra long work day. Hope you're doing okay. My heart goes out to everyone without a job. And man, Shelton and Dolph, they were my era WWE.
That's valid.
I was going to say, actually, on Shelton Benjamin, with Shelton Benjamin, that when I got back into wrestling in 2005, so I'd taken my break. If anyone doesn't know my backstory with wrestling, I got in early 2000s, was like when I first, I'd always been interested in the 90s, but never really had access to it. But in 2000, it was on Channel 4 for free, so I really got into it then. By 2002, like May 2002, when Hogan comes back and wins the belt, dropped off. All my friends had stopped watching. I wasn't really interested in it anymore. I had no one to talk about it with, so I just stopped watching wrestling. And I took a big gap until I went to university in 2004. And 2005 is when I actually then got back into wrestling because my housemate was a wrestling fan. And his parents sent to him a VHS recording of the pay-per-view that he'd ordered over the weekend for New Year's Revolution 2005. Mm-hmm. And we all watched that together. We sat around, we plugged the VHS in, and we watched it. And my housemate, one of my other housemates, John, he got so into Shelton Benjamin. And he was like, that's my favorite wrestler.
Yeah.
Like, we all say, we're all going to get back into watching wrestling together. And we did. And we would always get together and we would watch pay-per-views and stuff. Instantly, he was like, that's my favorite wrestler. And he was a huge, huge Shelton Benjamin mark.
Yeah.
He was cool, man.
Yeah.
He was so cool. Like, I wasn't there, like, during the Shelton Benjamin, Shawn Michaels, that spot. Mm-hmm. But, you see it back and you're like, that's cool.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's real cool.
Yeah. He's great. On an entirely separate note, can I just talk about the match that Progress have just announced for October 22nd? Progress Wrestling have announced for October 22nd at the Electric Ballroom in Camden. Luke Jacobs versus Eddie Kingston.
What?
Yeah, huh?
Whoa!
Uh-huh. Look at that! Look at
it! Sunday the 22nd.
22nd of October.
Man, am I around?
Are we around for that?
Because that's the week after Royal Quest.
Sure is. Is Eddie still here? Is he going to be here for a whole week? Can we do something with him? I want to do something with Eddie Kingston.
Eddie Kingston, Luke Jacobs.
That sounds delightful.
Oh, I'm in for that, man.
If y'all haven't seen Luke Jacobs, he's so good.
I don't think I'm actually doing anything on the 22nd,
I mean, if we want to do a wrestling trip,
could be a show to go to.
Could be a show we could do.
Tirella Marcus here says, don't get me wrong, but I think in a way it's for the best for these talents. Yes, it's sucky that they're released now, but I think they have better chances elsewhere and hopefully will get more TV time in other promotions like AEW or Impact. Yeah, that's kind of what we were just sort of talking about there. Just like the idea of it's a great time if you are being released in terms of there's so many opportunities out there for you to find work.
Yeah.
Jofus15 says, if Ziggler wasn't going to be an in-ring talent anymore, he'd have been number one on my list for head trainer in developmental and as a producer.
Yep.
Trainer's a really good shout.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned producer earlier.
Yeah.
But yeah, trainer's a really good shout. People just throwing out their dream matches. That's another thing, yeah. People throw out your dream matches that you'd like to see.
Your Wrestle Dream match. I literally just saw it because I saw the Wrestle Dream graphic.
I think someone just put up there Ziggler versus Okada.
Oh,
that was my reaction to it. I was like, oh.
Yeah, I hadn't considered that, but also, that's good.
That sounds a bit fun, to be honest.
Yeah.
Zach Robinson Music has been a member for 28 months in a row. Says, all of my love to those who've lost their jobs today and may continue to do so. Hope they all land on their feet okay. Thanks to WrestleTalk for all that you do. Thank you very much for tuning in.
Thank you.
If this is your first time here, please do press the subscribe button. We do lots of wrestling podcasts. We just reviewed, the Grand Slam edition of Dynamite about 5 minutes before we were coming into this video, so you can go and check that out. We review Raw and SmackDown and all the gubbins and stuff. So yeah.
Also, if you're looking for any more wrestling news, WrestleTalk.com is a very good place to go. Check this out. This will be up because we mentioned earlier that there's, according to Brian Alvarez on Twitter, there's supposed to be NXT cuts coming at around 5 p.m. EST today, so in a few hours. We probably won't be around for that, but I would highly recommend checking out WrestleTalk.com around that time, as they will be updating the website with everything.
A lot of people are going for Ali versus Ospreay.
I was going to say that earlier. Yes, please.
Yeah.
That sounds delightful.
Ziggler versus Ospreay. Ziggler versus Ospreay.
Ziggler Ospreay would probably be great as well. Yeah.
Ziggler Omega. I mean, Ali Omega as well, for that matter.
Omegas. Who else would I want to see?
Oh, sorry, it's Orange Cassidy, Dolph Ziggler. That's a fun one.
That's a good one. I like that.
While you ruminate on that one, Peter Mullins here says, SRS just announced that Pete's partner's dinner just got released. Thoughts and prayers go out to his partner at this difficult time and the sofa in which he will find himself on later. No one told the ladies the sofa is in front of the TV and it's not a punishment.
Oh, it is. Oh, it's a punishment.
No, got a comfy sofa?
Got a very comfy sofa, but it's not the bed with my partner.
Oh,
That's the punishment you see.
That's very good.
Yeah.
Keith Below has been a member for 25 months in a row. Said, such a tonal whiplash going from a great Grand Slam to yet another day of WWE releases. We'll be getting some banger matches in the future.
That much is for sure. I genuinely think people have been talking about like we're in a wrestling boom and all that stuff, and we've been talking about all the opportunities that people can get because companies are flourishing. I also just think the in-ring quality of wrestling has literally never been higher.
Yeah.
It is absurd. You can go to any company in the world and you'll be like, at least 4-star matches across this show.
Speedball Mike Bailey, Twitter and eyes emoji at Mustafa Ali, tweet about him no longer working in the company.
Yes, please. That sounds like a fun match.
It does sound like a fun match. Kuzu here says, what really sucks about Shelton is that he was in the same OVW class as John Cena, Brock Lesnar, Batista, and Randy Orton. He 100% could have been a top star if WWE wanted him to be, but it's hard to stand out when you're against the aforementioned names.
And yet, he did.
He did stand out.
He did stand out against them.
He really did.
Yeah.
Eric Metzloff here says, I'll always remember Shelton for his incredible Money in the Bank ladder match spots. I wouldn't mind seeing as a new top talent in Ring of Honor. I think he and Eddie Kingston could tear it up.
Ooh.
That's a really good shout, actually, in Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
But, you know, kind of we would sort of then about like Dolph, producer and trainers and stuff. Doesn't mean they can't be hired elsewhere to do that gig.
Absolutely, yeah.
Going into AEW and doing some training there with some of the younger guys, going in there, doing some producing work. Man, that'd be like, that's a really, particularly like someone Shelton Benjamin, like, he could impart so much knowledge.
Absolutely.
Onto a lot of people around.
Yeah.
Cried Wolf has been a member for 24 months in a row. Says 24 months, listen to a bunch of wrestling nerds. Wouldn't have it any other way. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you for everyone who has joined us. If you are just joining us, here is the updated list of those who have been released. Emma, Mustafa Ali, Rick Boogs, Aliyah, Elias, Riddick Moss, Top Dolla, Shelton Benjamin, and Dolph Ziggler.
I'd like to read this tweet here from Big E.
Go for it.
Who, of course, started on the main roster alongside Dolph Ziggler.
That's right.
And has tweeted to say, I was so immensely fortunate to start my time in the main roster next to Ziggler. I learned so many lessons about this craft by watching and listening. One of the smoothest workers I've ever been in the ring with. Thank you for everything you've done for me, Zigman.
Zigman.
Which is very nice. And yeah, Dolph Ziggler, I don't think it needs to be said, very good in the ring.
Dane here says, I really want them to call up Bron Breakker and team him with Boogs as a hyper colorful throwback Steiner style tag team. Loved him before he got injured. With that, I could have seen them doing that.
Yeah,
it would have been a fun tag team.
That would have been fun. Yeah.
Thank you all so much for joining us. WrestleTalk.com will be a place for you to check out any other breaking news about this story. We'll stay on the air for another sort of few minutes or so, just in case anything else comes through. Is there a tweet from Sean there?
Yeah, I was just reading it. Another tweet from Sean Receptor saying, many WWE talent we spoke with thought that after the last year and a half or so, that WWE was going the AEW route of just letting contracts expire as opposed to mass cuts. Unfortunately, that isn't the case.
I thought they might have been going that way as well. Felt like that just sort of became that. AEW started that as a trend.
Yeah, it kind of became the norm, right?
Yeah, because the people, we would do these sort of breaking news videos when they did releases for it. And then people started coming after us being like, why aren't you doing this for any of the AEW ones? And it's like, because AEW aren't releasing people. They're just letting their contracts. Like they signed them for 3-year deals. Those 3 years were up. And they opted not to re-sign them.
Yep.
Sucks that they didn't get re-signed. I'm looking at Sonny Kiss in particular and like her contract not getting re-signed. Like that sucks.
Yeah.
That's a real shame. There are some times you're like, oh, man, they could have like really done something with that person, whoever that might be.
Yeah.
But yeah, WWE felt like it was going to go in the same direction. I was like, we're not going to be releasing people now. We're just going to wait till their contracts expire, pay them out for the rest of their contracts, and then they can be off on their merry way. But I guess the merger, like, to Sean's point there, it's like people didn't expect this to happen. But I think once the merger was announced, this has sort of been on our docket for a little while of like, we're sort of expecting releases to happen at some point soon because that's unfortunately the nature of business.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you all so much for joining us. Please do press the subscribe button. This is your first time here. Give us a little thumbs up as well. As we have we haven't had one of these for a while. An unknown username.
Oh, wow.
Streamlabs has lost your username. I do apologize about that. It's a Streamlabs issue. I hope it's not going to be a recurring issue for them, and it was for a little bit. Said, I know we're hearing about the WWE side of the merger, but why haven't we heard about UFC merger firings and details?
I mean, I wouldn't hear about it because I'm not in that. So I don't know if they have happened or not. I have no idea. I don't cover UFC news. I wouldn't see UFC news. I'm very much in the WWE wrestling bubble. So I don't know if that's happened or not. I'm probably not the person to ask.
I don't think I've seen it like in the news because I thought there would have been people on the old Twitter machine that would have put some tweets out about it. But also not say that they're not coming.
Yeah, this could just be step one, you know?
Could just be step one. So I don't know what the contracts are like with UFC.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah. We're going to stay on the air for just a... You all right?
I just saw a tweet that just said Dolph Ziggler versus Kenny Omega will create a discourse on this app, the likes of which have never been seen.
The discourse.
Yeah.
If you are looking for a new social media platform, that'd be the name I'd suggest.
Discourse.
The discourse. I mean, it sounds a little bit like Discord, I suppose.
Yeah, a little bit too close. Check out WrestleTalk.com, by the way, because I assume we're going to go shortly.
Yes, I think we'll be wrapping things up a little bit. We've gone for about an hour.
Yeah, but if there's any more, WrestleTalk.com will be the place to go to check it out. And also, as mentioned earlier, there are supposedly, reportedly, according to Brian Alvarez on Twitter, more NXT cuts coming at around 5 p.m. EST today. So around that time, check out WrestleTalk.com for that as well. As the site will be updated too.
We'll just do a few more minutes on this. So we've been on the air for just over an hour now. So we'll just do a few more minutes. Like ding, ding, ding. Last call. If you do want to get your statement read out on the air, if you want to get your thoughts in, link in the video description down below, and our moderators will be posting it as well. Apparently the discourse is already a social media site.
Really?
Darn. My big idea.
Unless that is just what Twitter is. It's just the discourse now.
He's renamed it
again.
The mad bastard. Pete,
yes.
Final thoughts to kind of wrap things up a little bit. I know we've kind of talked about this at length across this broadcast, but have you got any final thoughts you'd like to say?
Final thoughts. Best of luck to everybody that's lost their jobs today. Really sucks. I think that the wrestling industry is currently flourishing, and there are loads of opportunities for people to get really, really good bookings around the world. And I hope that a lot of these people do, because I think a lot of them have a ton to give to the industry. So best of luck to everybody. This sucks, but hopefully it can be a positive experience for you all in the long run.
Yeah, I'd to echo what you just said there, and the idea of they're going to land on their feet.
Mm-hmm.
Like the wrestling world is very open at the moment. It's not just in North America. The British wrestling scene is starting to flourish once again. There is great wrestling happening all over the world, in Ireland, in Europe, Japan, Australia.
Mm-hmm.
There's some really, really good places out there to go and get some work. And everyone who is unfortunately going to be released today is going to find some gret work out there. And it may look like it's a bad day, but it's just the next step of their story. Yeah, and I'm looking forward to seing what that next step is.
Mm-hmm. Also, if any of you want to be on Survival Series, let us know, because we'll probably have you.
Got a couple more chats in. Said Kid Cuddy here says, was a little mean earlier, and even though I disagree with some of your takes, I find myself listening back to everything y'all do. Thank you for real and in the future. Let's try and be more positive together. Much love. Always love to you.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. And Flaming here has been a member for 13 months in a row. Says, I guess I'll finally get my Ziggler versus Omega dream match. I hope that when Tony picks them up, he uses all of these people effectively. That's an audio flesh here says Ziggler versus Switchblade.
Ooh. That's a good one.
That is a good one.
It's a good one.
I think Shelton would be a good challenger for MJF in Adam Cole's absence. Ali versus Phoenix. Emma could pair well with Storm against the Outcasts. Love you guys. That's a fun one. The Aussies reuniting.
Yeah, that's good.
That's a fun one. I did have one final point I wanted to sort of make on this before we do head out of here, and kind of just sort of back up what Kid Cuddy was saying there about, us looking at trying to take some positives out of this and trying to spread some good into the world. Like, message these people your love. and send them a message about you're looking forward to seeing what they're going to do next. Tweet them your favorite matches, your favorite moments. If you're watching this video, in the comments down below, leave it your favorite matches and moments.
Yep.
We could focus on the negatives here and just be like, F the WWE, F Endeavor, and F TKO. And there's no harm in doing that. And you're not wrong for doing that. But let's try and let's look at some good things here. Share your favorite matches and moments, and let's share some positive vibes on what might be a bit of a dark day.
Yes,
for wrestling fans and the wrestlers themselves.
Absolutely, yeah.
But yeah, we are going to wrap this up. Thank you all so much for joining us here. WrestleTalk.com is going to be the place for you to check out for any other releases that happen. As Pete mentioned earlier, reportedly there are some NXT cuts coming in about 4.5 hours time.
About that.
According to Brian Alvarez. So WrestleTalk.com for all of your latest wrestling news updates. Thank you all so much for joining us today, though. Please
appreciate it.
Press the subscribe button. And we'll be back tomorrow on the WrestleTalk News Channel.
Yeah, we will. Where we'll be covering all of this and also the other news that happened with network deals and stuff. A lot of news.
Busy day today, everyone.
Yeah.
But thank you all so much for watching. I've been Luco in DAD. That has been Chopper Pete Quinnell. Jam that jam.